Welcome to this morning's live on my favorite topic, Sales Navigator. Now, I know from a lot of conversations that I'm having, whether you're getting a return on investment from your Sales Navigator investment comes up time and time again. So that's why I've chosen that as the topic for today's live. Now, it's always good to know really a bit of context of who's in the room. So if you could please comment, are you using Sales Navigator yourself? Or are you looking at this on behalf of your team? Are you a Sales Navigator admin user? And are you familiar with the admin dashboards? Really, what kind of problems might you think your team have with their Sales Navigator usage? And are you looking for the kinds of stats that can help you to track that? If you let me know in the comments, then I'll try and cover that, because today, rather than having slides, I've really got things live on my browser. I'll share that just now, just so that you can, depending on questions, we can see which way we go. Okay, I'm just going to have a look for the comments because it can take a minute or so for those to come through. Just a bit of scene setting. If we're looking to increase the ROI from our Sales Navigator, we need to know if we're measuring the right things. And so that's what I'm really going to focus on is the best practice of salespeople on LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and what would be the stats that would tell us if they're using best practice or not. So in Sales Navigator, this is the admin view. I don't know whether all of you will be familiar with this, but I just thought a little bit of a navigation around this would really help. So you've got the overview slide where it's telling you whether your users are active. You've got the usage and you've got the effectiveness as well. And these can all be exported. So here on the right-hand side, you've got an export, and you can export to CSV, and if you have Power BI, Tableau, and so on. Now, I thought I would just have a little bit of an experiment in Power BI and a little bit of a shout out to Alex, who showed me what she's doing on Power BI, so I could really have a good dig in and explore on that myself. Usefully, when you download the app in Power BI, it gives you some sample data. So this is what we're looking at here. And down the left-hand side, you've got the different sorts of usage. So this is giving you searches performed, profiles viewed to date, sales. So it's the same data as you're getting in your Sales Navigator admin, but because it's something like Tableau or Power BI, you're able to manipulate the data so that you're looking at the things that really matter. And so that's where I think this is really interesting. It does give you these default. You're looking at search, Sales Navigator, think that you should be looking at how many searches people are doing. In-mails, they think you should be measuring whether in-mails are being sent out and whether they're being accepted, and also SSI score. Now, the SSI score is no longer turning up in the Sales Navigator admin section. You need to export the data in order to get the SSI. So this is just a bit of a navigation of the kind of data that you can be getting. If you have any questions on this, please put them in. And as we go, I will try to answer your questions. I think we need to take a bit of a step back as to, if you're a salesperson on LinkedIn, what are the best practices that are going to help you stand out from the crowd and give you the really best chance of cutting through the noise and getting conversations with influencers and decision makers at your target companies. And I think the things that salespeople have traditionally done, and probably you're going to find this is the main use of nearly everybody who has your Sales Navigator license, is they're going to go onto Sales Navigator and they're going to find the people, the decision makers at the accounts you want them to sell to, and they're going to contact them. So they might be sending a connection out, they might be sending an in-mail. And so if you're looking at whether they're using that in the more traditional sense, those features have probably been there ever since Sales Navigator has existed, then they would be the stats that you would be looking at. And interestingly, they're the stats that Sales Navigator seems to want you to be looking at. But I don't think this is really the sort of tip of the iceberg. Searches are a means to an end. Connections out are a means to an end. And we really need to be looking at, are they doing things in the right way? Or will they need some more support in order to be more effective with this? And I think that there are three things that we ought to be looking at. Let me just get the banners for this. Okay, the first thing is that they need to be getting connections accepted so they can follow up in the inbox. Now, that's a little bit different from sending out an email and getting a reply of, yes, I'm interested, or no, I'm not, because that's like an email on LinkedIn. And actually, when it comes through to the inbox, it says email, and very often they're ignored because they're seen as a sales pitch. And so I would be looking much more closely at, have you got connections accepted, rather than have you sent out connections or sent out emails. Because once you've got somebody in your network, you haven't pitched to them, you can take your time and you can do what LinkedIn was intended for, which is networking. You can have a two-way conversation. You can show interest in them rather than that transactional sort of activity that emails give you. So if I'll just stay on Power BI. So you've got here on the sort of overview on the usage, you've got the searches, you've got the profiles viewed, you've got the saved leads, in-mails and messages sent. And interestingly, that also includes LinkedIn.com connections sent, as well as in-mails, as well as connections sent through, excuse me, through Sales Navigator. And the one you really want to look at are the connections made, because we can be busy fools on Sales Navigator, sending out loads of stuff that nobody ever responds to. So the really meaningful stat here is connections accepted. And then if your salespeople are posting, you're going to see that post in the feed, or there's a better chance. The second thing is lead nurturing. Let me just change my ticker. We're on the lead nurturing topic. So lead nurturing is the way to get people to give attention to your salesperson. It's a whole case of giving first, getting that goodwill so that people are slightly more open to having a conversation. What I mean by lead nurturing is having a look at their activities and seeing whether there's anything going on with them. Have they posted? Is there a promotion? Is there a new CEO joining the business? And this is where your homepage on Sales Navigator is your friend. With your homepage of Sales Navigator, you can see all of the triggers. And that means that you can sort by latest, and this becomes your link. If you've only got 15 minutes to spend on LinkedIn Sales Navigator every day, if you're a salesperson that is following up on pipeline, you've got a number of other things to be doing, then if you spend your LinkedIn time on this homepage, you will be spending it on the right things, because it will be engaging on a post when they've just put that post out, not when you land on their profile and they see that they posted a week ago. And it will be looking at things that are happening with that account right now. All of these things can be conversation starters to get you into the inbox. So that is really best practice for LinkedIn, but you can't have an effective homepage that works really well unless you've saved your leads. And so that's why in these usage stats, I would be looking at, let's see if I can go back in from that. I would be looking at this one, the saved leads, because if people are not saving leads continually, there will be new people that come into role. There will be new people that are more active on LinkedIn. If they're using it properly, there will be a continual saving of leads, but there will definitely be a lot of saving of leads at the very beginning of the setup. And if you don't see that people have saved a lot of leads at the beginning of their time on Sales Navigator, then you know that you would need to explain to them the value of doing that. And then the third thing that salespeople, I feel, I hear this a lot, is that we've got a wider buying group than ever before. There's not just one person that is making a decision with them medium or enterprise sized businesses. In fact, a lot of deals we know at the moment are being delayed, being stalled, and it's because when you might have a champion and advocate, when they start going around the business to get the green light, they're having problems. And this is where LinkedIn Sales Navigator should really be helping your salespeople. You want them to be connecting into the wider buying group. Now, if they connect into the wider buying group, if your champion is made redundant, if you're selling to marketers, a lot of marketers are being made redundant, unfortunately, at the moment, your deal walks out the door with them. And if you have a relationship with a wider buying group, you've got a much better chance of closing the deal. They also have awareness, you have opportunities to get in touch with people. And so that's where we would be looking, and it's slightly more challenging to see this one. So if I just go to this search, I've searched for my salesperson, connections of my salesperson, and I've had a look at who is he connected to from our strategic account list. And the result here at the side is showing that he's connected to 87 people. Now, you can always just remove that and put in a company if you're wanting to look at a particular company that he may be connected to. And you can see the number of people that he is connected to at a particular target company. So that's a little bit more one by one. And actually, you can dig into anybody's, you can really dig into anybody's activities. So if I can just show you here on JP's activities, sorry, JP, if you're watching, I hope you don't mind. And the default view is to look at his posts. But if you're looking at the lead nurturing that JP is doing, you can filter by comments and just have a look. Are these comments on prospects, or are they just on colleagues? And you can see whether on a one-by-one basis, are they doing that kind of lead nurturing? The other thing that you could be looking at is the social selling index. Now, marketers are pretty keen on the social selling index, and actually having a decent number across the 4 components of the score shows generally good practice. So it is a good indicator. Now, you can't see that collectively anymore in the Sales Navigator admin, but you can export that data. So if you're looking at lead nurturing, for example, you'd be looking at the engage part of this, and you see the engage part here, and you can be filtering, and you can find the people on the list who have the lowest engage score. So their SSI might not be the lowest out of everybody, but you can see that perhaps, look, they're connecting to a whole load of people. Their build is really high, but they're not doing any lead nurturing. And that's really quite typical with salespeople. But if you're not doing that, you're going to find that you've got salespeople that are saying to you, LinkedIn doesn't work for me. And this is the reason why it's not working for them. So I'm just going to summarize, and feel free to drop any questions in the comments. But my summary would be 4 things. One is track your leads. And this means that if a salesperson is tracking the leads, they're going to be able to get in touch with them and start a conversation about something that's really relevant and timely. And they can't track those leads unless they're saved. So saving them is really the first step. The second step is to nurture them before you go into this build mode. Create that goodwill, get your connections accepted by liking and commenting and saying something relevant about the stuff that they're talking about. Number 3 is to be looking at connections accepted rather than connections and in-mails out. This will really show that they're using best practice. And number 4 is you can really dig into those lead filters. I showed you connections of, but actually you can look at it more collectively by looking at Team Link. So really have a look for, are they having that wider engagement? Just while I think of it, I'm going to show you what that would look like. If I go on to, it was the search. If you go on to connections, you've got exec team link connections. You could have an account list of all of the accounts that you're targeting, and you can have a look who on your Sales Navigator license and how many connections you've got across all of your Sales Navigator users with your target account. So that will give you a pretty quick screenshot of it and how it's working. So I promise that it's going to be loads of value in 15 minutes. And I believe that we've been here for 15 and a half. So I'm going to wrap things up. Thank you. Hope that was useful. What I would like to say is that I did do a Sales Navigator. I did do a Sales Navigator best and newest features. It covers a whole lot more of the Sales Navigator features than this particular one. And it went out in November last year, and it's still really, really relevant. So I will put that into the comments so that you can go back to that LinkedIn Live. And also, if this has been helpful at all and you're thinking, okay, how do I adapt that to my circumstance where I know my challenges are, or the data, your particular Sales Navigator license, I'm really happy to have a quick call with you and really dig into the stats that will matter for you as well. So please email me or send me a connection request. I'm more than happy to do that. And that's it for me this morning. Have a brilliant Thursday. See you in July.